Welcome to the Traditional Way. I'm your host, Brett Shumway. This podcast is brought to you by the Martial Arts Center Network, where you can find all things martial arts related on our social media pages and the main app available on Apple and Google stores, where you can catch up on all the open circuit sport karate news with Inside Scoop, catch a movie review with Fists, Kicks, and Flicks, or find out what's happening in the Jiu-Jitsu and MMA worlds on the Winner's Circle. Plus now, exclusive content that is only available on the app. On this episode, we're going to cover the Pan American Continental Championships that took place on May 28th through the 31st in Macaé, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where over 500 athletes from 22 nations came together to compete for their continental titles in both the U21 and veterans age categories. Now, we saw a lot of new faces atop the podium in Brazil, so let's dive right in to see what happened. The young ladies start off with Ana Vasquez and Angelica Ospina meeting in the final of the minus 50 kilogram division, where both ladies had an easy ascent to the final match as neither one had anyone really test them through the bracket. With both ladies looking for their first ever PKF title, the final was a tough fought match, but in the end it would be Vasquez who pulled out the 3-1 victory to secure the gold. The defending champion in the minus 55 kilogram division, Lavina Costa, would face off against Maria Oyaya in the final, where Oyaya would look to finally get a gold at this event after both ladies easily walked through the division to meet one another. And they would have a close, tough fought match, but it would be Costa who would regain her title, this time in front of the home crowd after a 5-4 scored match. The minus 61 kilogram division saw another returning champion in Ana Ayaya face off against newcomer Giovina Patricio, who outscored her opponents 23-9 on her way to meeting the defending champion, and introduced herself to the division in her first ever event as she took the final 2-0 and let everyone know that there is a new woman in this division to be contended with. Amy Lopez found her way to the final for the third straight year in the minus 68 kilogram division, facing off against Ana Mora, who killed it through the bracket, not being tested at all on her way through the bracket to the final, but Amy had plans of not repeating her silver from last year and took the final match by a score of 3-1 to secure her second PKF title and her last attempt in this age category. Francesca Tapia made it back to the final of the over 68 kilogram division for the second year in a row to face off against Amanda Moreno, who were both looking for their first PKF title, and just crushed the competition through the bracket to face off against each other. And in the end, it would be Moreno who would secure the gold after a 4-2 win. It would be a rematch from the junior PKFs from last year, as the Henrique twins would face off in the final of the female kata division, with a battle of Kusanku, with Gabrielle running Chatnara and Yasmin opting to go with Chibana. And these two battled it out to a 3-2 scored match, with the judges giving the nod to Gabrielle for her third continental title of her career. In Team Kata, it'd be a showdown of Anan from Venezuela and Mexico facing off in the final, but it would be an all Venezuela as they took the gold 5-0. And in Kumite, Venezuela and Chile would have an exciting final with both teams taking one match apiece, and it would come down to points, and Venezuela would squeak out that win 14-13 to take the title. In his first attempt in the U21 age category, Martin Cabrera would face off against the defending champion Daniel Romero in the final of the minus 60 kilogram division, as Cabrera would have 3 tough-fought matches on his way to the final, and unfortunately not get it together in the final, as Romero would repeat as the champion, winning the match 8-0. Sebastian Toledo would step up into the adults for the first time in the minus 67 kilogram division and face off against Maximiliano Munoz, who went untouched on his way to the final, where he would be touched by Toledo and maybe forgot that he should be doing the scoring as well, as he fell to Toledo 4-0 for the gold medal. An all-Brazilian final match in the minus 75 kilogram division, as Gabriel Tavares and Carlos Faria both had a pretty easy day on their way to the finals, with only Tavares having one fight that was within a point. All other fights of these two were decided by 2 or more points, as they were in control throughout the event. In the final, it would be Tavares that would pull it out with a 2-0 win for his first PKF title and his first WKF event. 2 former PKS medalists face off in the minus 84 kilogram division, as Tomas Dada and Omar Amashiri walked through the division to meet in the final match, where they would go at it and have an exciting back and forth match that would find Dada coming out as the victor, as they fought to a 9-6 scored match. This is Dada's first PKF title. And in the over 84 kilogram division, Ilya Makarov and Christian Taneski had the event of their young careers as they destroyed the competition on their way to the final, with both men looking for their first PKF win. But in the final, it would be all Taneski that would win by an 8-2 margin and secure the gold. Shotokan versus Shidoru in the male kata final as Pedro Pinheiro and Mike Duque face off, with Duque running Gankaku and Pinheiro opting for Super Empe. It'd be a close match that would be decided by one judge, but Duque pulled out the victory to secure his first PKF title. Team Kata would come down to the Unsu of Brazil and the Anan of Mexico, and it would not be close, as Brazil would take this match with all 5 judges going their way. Brazil would also see the final in the Kumite against Canada, who would secure 1 point in the match, secure 1 match, but it came down to points, and it wouldn't matter as Brazil took the final by a score of 19-6. Lily Alvarado returns to the final of the minus 50 kilogram division to face off with Katia Salcido, who finally made a final after taking bronze at these championships for the past 2 years. And they both walked through the bracket to meet one another, winning all their fights in high-scoring affairs. In the final, it would be Salcido who would not waste her shot in the final, as she won the match 7-0 to secure her first adult PKF title. Maria Oyaya would make her second final of this event, this time in the veterans age category, where she'd face off against veteran Talia Alcantara, who would be making her first final as a veteran. And they would have themselves a great match with a lot of action and back and forth scoring. The match would end with Alcantara taking the 5-4 victory, securing her first title as a veteran and 6th overall PKF win of her career. The same countries would face off against one another in the final of the minus 61 kilogram division, as Penelope Polanco would face off against Lily Rose Nolette. For the first time, Nolette is in this weight category after losing enough weight to drop 2 weight categories within the past year. They both cruised through into their first final in this weight category, and it would be Nolette that adds to her PKF total as she secured her 3rd title after a 2-0 win. Well, there are 2 ways to get to the final, and Hilary Pond and Anastasia Velocio show us how in the minus 68 kilogram division. Pond had all close matches requiring the decision or sensu advantage to get to the final, where Velocio just outscored her opponents, even as they were scoring on her. Most notably was her 13-9 victory in the semis to make it to the final. In the final, they would stay true to form as they fought to a 75 score that went in favor of Velocio, who would secure her first PKF title since 2017. Another all-Brazilian final in the over 68 kilogram division, as Brenda Pereira and Rosane Pereira, no relation, meet up after both having an easy ascent to the podium at this event. In the final, it was a defensive showcase as the 2 made it extremely hard to be scored upon, but it would be Brenda that would get one in and win her 3rd PKF title of her career after a 1-0 victory. And the toughest division at this event was the female kata final, saw the second appearance of Gabrielle Henrique and the return of veteran Maria Dimitrova, where it was literally the youngest in the division went up against the oldest. Henrique ran Chatnara Kusanku and Dimitrova ran Super Empe. And like most every other match in this division, it came down to a 3-2 score, this time in favor of Dimitrova, who secured her 10th overall PKF medal and her 3rd PKF champion title of her career. Team Kata came down between the Unsu of Peru and the Anan of Brazil, where Peru would take this title by a score of 4-1. And in Kumite, Chile and Venezuela would fight it out, but it would be all Venezuela who would take the win 2-0. Wilmer Martinez returns to the minus 60 kilogram division final at this event and would face off against Janko Dorta, making his debut in the adult PKF final, and looking for some family payback as Martinez beat Dorta's younger brother in the bracket to make it to the finals. And Janko would do just that, taking care of business in the final, winning that match 4-1, securing his first PKF title as an adult. An all-Chilean final in the minus 67 kilogram division as Daniel Seriano and Tomas Fuentes meet up after beating up on the division, as they both wouldn't be threatened with a loss until meeting up with one another. It'd be Seriano's first attempt at the title, and Fuentes was defending his. They both put on a show, but experience made a difference as Fuentes regains the title after an 8-4 win. Joaquin Lavin and Juan Avina have both made the final of the minus 75 kilogram division at the PKFs in the past, but both are still looking for that Continental title at this weight class. With both having tough fights early that they pulled out to squeak by some very stiff competition early, they faced off for one of them to finally get what they had missed in the past. And it would be all Avina who would win the final by the 8-point spread and top the podium. The minus 84 kilogram division proves that some shine better under the bright lights, as Ruben Amu and Felipe Alberto make it to the finals, albeit in different ways. Amu outscored his opponents 24-6 on his side of the bracket, whereas Alberto squeaked by his opponents in every match, with his only win not by decision going 2-0 in his favor. But under the lights, he shined as he took to the final match 4-0 to regain his PKF title, making it 2 in a row. The over 84 kilogram division gave us the matchup we were waiting for, as 4-time PKF champion Rodrigo Rojas and up-and-coming Edward Sajilian faced off in the final. Both top 10 ranked athletes in the division, and after they destroyed the bracket on their way to the final, this was the match what everyone was waiting to see. But it would be experience that would take this match as Rojas secures his 5th PKF title of his career. An All-American final for the male kata division is the world number 2 Ariel Torres and his countryman Ray Chinen face off in the final. The former U21 world champion Chinen went with Super Rempe, and Torres opted to run a non-dai. And it would once again be all Torres as he secures his 7th straight PKF title, and he went perfect at this event, winning every single match 5-0. Team Kata The Team Kata final pitted Colombia's Unsu against Venezuela's Anan, and in a close match, Colombia pulled out a 3-2 victory for the title. Team Kumite saw Mexico and Chile meet up in the final, and it would be all Chile who would prevail as champions this year, winning 3 matches to 0. Biggest winner at the Pan American Championships was Brazil. They were already winners for hosting this prestigious event, but to take home 25 total medals in front of the home crowd is amazing. A feat that surprisingly doesn't happen at most WKF events. I've seen it once or twice in Egypt and Japan, but they are powerhouse countries where their athletes were going to win that event regardless of where it was held. This was unexpected as Brazil isn't considered a major powerhouse within the WKF. Sure, they have some up-and-coming stars, but to dominate the way they did at this event was something special. I hope this was an introduction to some of their athletes on the world stage, and we'll see what happens. I also have to take time to acknowledge someone who didn't win at this event, and it was a shock that she didn't medal, and that's Sakura Kokomai. Look, I understand that, she has gotten a little older and recently has taken a step back from the amount of events that she's attending, and we don't know what that means for where she is at in life or her competition career or expectations, and it leaves a lot of people asking what's next. But let's look at her stats. This is the first year since 2012 that she hasn't been in the final at this event. She has 11 PKF titles. She has been, without a doubt, the best female kata athlete in the Western Hemisphere for the past decade and a half. So regardless of her results this year, you cannot take her legacy away from her. I hope that this doesn't get lost on anyone. For an American karate athlete within the WKF, she has been the standard for a very long time. I, for one, hope that we see her continue to compete. If she opts to depart from competing, let's not forget what she has given us for the past 17 years in the sport. It is something special and something that people should not take lightly. And with that, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Traditional Way. Join me on the next episode where I'll bring you the results from the last Premier League event of the year, and we find out who the grand winners of 2026 will be. Until then, binge out on the main app because it's full of exclusive content and sport karate videos. Until next time, guys.